Hey guys, and welcome to this week's episode of TRUUU Podcast. I'm your host, Drea.
And I'm Alex.
And we are coming to you at the end of our second season. It's exciting. I don't really know what divides our seasons necessarily, but I just feel like I don't like putting high numbers when I upload the episodes.
Right, yeah, I feel like at this point we're just like, well, we've done a lot of episodes so far since we started doing this stuff again, so we'll just, take a break a little bit.
But that being said, Alex, I do have some, because I know that when we transitioned from season 1 to season 2, we introed the addition of talking about our life updates and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And I do have an idea to change it up for season 3 that I will share with you off air because surprises.
Sure.
So, okay, that's going to be fun. So this is our last episode, guys. We're going to do it by kind of doing a little recap of our year so far. We're in July now. So we're past the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to do a quick recap of our year. But before we do that, Alex, you want to tell us how your week went?
Yeah, sure. Well, as any viewers can see on YouTube, not only are Dre and I sporting really punk rock vibes today, it's really kind of astounding when you pointed that out actually a couple minutes ago. I'm like, this is really funny because I think your jeans aren't necessarily super punkish, but everything from the waist up for both of us. I'm wearing black ripped jeans, so totally me, punk all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, for those who are watching this on YouTube, you see that I'm super sunburnt, so that's going to be a part of my week update.
Oh, I didn't even notice that you were
Have you
sunburned.
even looked at me since I watched your
I'm
house?
literally looking at you right now. I don't think you look sunburnt.
Well, anyway, we'll
Okay,
get to
sorry.
that later.
Okay, continue.
So, let's see. Let's think. What was last week? Or this past week, I guess, since we've recorded last. Started my promoted gig.
Mm-hmm. How's that going?
It's been going good. Yeah, I like the more responsibilities part.
Uh-huh.
That's something that I've always been about is advancing and learning new things, getting more responsibility. So that's really nice. Gave my first campus tour, so that was kind of fun. Because my whole thing that I was really nervous about giving a campus tour.
Okay.
Was do I know enough of the information about the campus
to give a tour?
Give a tour like the kids would, because we have the student tour guides and whatever. So I'm just kind of am I going to be able to give it, to the same level or is the same level of my colleagues? As it turns out, as you could imagine and probably understand, from being on the job for so long, there's so many things that you just glean by being there.
Right.
So I knew a lot more than I thought I would. So before I gave the tour, I brushed up on the materials and stuff that we usually give to the tour guides. I'm just oh, I know this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal. So that was really nice for me to realize, oh, okay, this is all right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. Still really early and we're in kind of a slower season right now. So I expect that in the fall, I'll be, experiencing the most as far as what's different goes. It's gonna be cool. But anyway, so there's that. And then I'll tell you what, Andrea went on.
Well, name me.
I do that to you sometimes.
I know, it's just weird. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Anyway, went on the 2 best dates of my life this weekend.
Cute. Go on.
All right. So on Friday, me and Michael, we went to the Griffith Observatory.
Okay.
And that was just a really fun time in the sense of I think that that I'm down for a little adventuring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually just down for the cause of doing things. So we didn't do a shuttle or whatever to go up. So you have to park on the hill going down.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to park pretty far down. And God bless them because at the top of the hill, you're just kind of I think that I just want to drop you off here because I don't want to make you walk all the way back up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's that's so sweet.
Mm.
Seriously, to have someone give you that kind of consideration.
Mm-hmm.
It means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I turned him down because it was kind of no, we're doing this together.
Yeah, it's a joint misery, but we're together in it.
I'd rather us walk up together than him having to walk up by himself.
Yeah, right.
But I really appreciated the thought behind it because he said it a couple times and was no, it's really okay. Thank you though. So we were hiking up and whatever, and like along the way, like we ran into this couple who only spoke Spanish, and they're just like, asking like people who were walking by, like, does anyone speak Spanish, and whatever. And Michael volunteered me for that job.
What do they want to know?
I feel so bad. We both felt so bad for this after the fact too. They wanted to know if you can see the Hollywood sign from Griffith's Observatory.
Oh.
And my whole thing is that I hadn't been since I was a child.
Okay.
So I have no earthly idea. I asked him and he didn't think so. So we told him no.
And then you can.
You totally can.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it really does. We're just like, oh man, no. But anyway, about like 2/3 of the way up the hill, which he actually, because he has, one of the smartwatches and whatever, so like he was actually able to tell me after the fact, like, how far like the walk was, and I think it was like 0.7 miles or something, like one way. So like about 2/3 of the way up, I realized that I really need to use the restroom.
Oh no.
I was like, I really hope that they have something up there, because like I, in general, if this were like before COVID and whatever, like I'd have, I know that there would be a bathroom somewhere, right?
Right.
But, now like in the newer days and whatever, like you kind of have to question whether or not like people will allow you to use restrooms or whatever.
Right.
But, I guess it's fine because, there's more stuff open right now. So that would be fine. So yes, we get up the hill. One of the first things we run into outside is like public restrooms.
Oh, good.
So I'm waiting in a line, right?
Okay.
And he was like, well, I'm going to go up to like the main entry place to see if I can get us like a ticket for a show. Because like they have that whole show thing there where you, view the star stuff and whatever in that room. So I get through the line and like he calls me right like when I'm next in line. He's like, oh, so like have you gotten to use the restroom yet? I'm like, oh no, I haven't. Like I'm next in line. Like I'm about to walk in. Talk to you in a minute. So use the restroom. Come outside, and he's just kind of like, so the show starts at 7:45, so we have to run because it's 7:42. So we literally have to run from where we're at, like outside, all the way to the
wherever it is being like held.
Yeah, because they don't do any late entry. So we were able to make it, and that was like, it was just fun, like having to like do that sort of thing. Like it didn't like bum me out or whatever. It didn't make me upset. It just was fun to do that. And the show was really cool. And then like when the show was over, you go outside to like this like overlook sort of place. And like it was the most beautiful sunset ever. And like it was just great. It was just a good time. And then after, we had Cheesecake Factory. And I love Cheesecake Factory. It's like, this is a really good day.
Yeah, it's just overall nothing bad.
Yeah, it was just a really good time. And then I can't remember if I did much on Saturday. I don't think that I did. And on Sunday was 4th of July. So, that's cool. Had Michael hang out with most of my family for the first time. And that was good. It was fun. We all had some fun together. And then on Monday, me and him both had the day off, which was really nice. So we actually spent the whole day together.
What'd you guys do?
So we got breakfast at like 8:30. So like we were like really with each other all day. So like 8:30 around, we got breakfast at a place in downtown Glendora. And then we didn't have like a super detailed plan of what we're going to do. We're just like, hey, let's just drive out to the coast and like see what we run into. So we ended up driving around for a while and ended up stopping at Santa Monica Pier. Because at least to my recollection, because I'm sure that maybe when I was like a little kid, my parents might have taken me there. I just don't remember. But I have no memories of going to the Santa Monica Pier. Ever? Yes.
Even during Pokemon Go when it was like in its height?
Correct.
Wow, okay.
So we went to Santa Monica Pier, which that was really cool. Like walked around the pier and then walked all the way up to the street and just like was walking around and just, admiring what was around. And, just talking and having a good time that way. And then he took me afterwards, like as it got into the afternoon to like this, I forget where it was specifically, but it was like these cliffs that you can like, there was a trail down like to the water and stuff, but we didn't go down to the trail. But these like really cool cliffs that had an awesome view. And then we went to Pasadena ate at BJ's and went to Earth Cafe to have dessert, actually.
Love. You guys should have gone to Salt and Straw.
I mean, the last time we went to
Oh, that's
Pasadena,
right.
we went to
Yeah. You're right. You told me that.
And throughout this day, you know, as you can hear that I was in Santa Monica and outside for a long time, I
Sunburned.
got super sunburned, man. Like, and the really ridiculous part is like, so the strap of my purse is going across my body.
Oh, no.
So yeah, I had that pattern of a sunburn.
Oh, that's fun.
But, you know, all in all, it was a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy.
Well, that's good.
I'm
glad for you.
It's been a good, you know, week.
That's good. I'm excited for you. Everything that it like, I feel like your life is just like lining up beautifully.
Yeah, it's been fun.
That's good.
All right, how's your week been?
Well, my week was definitely not as eventful as yours. I feel like I can't even think about anything that I did necessarily. Well, like I know. Okay, so I went golfing on Friday with, and then okay, here's another conundrum. I want to say like my boss, but he's not my boss. I know.
Your friend. He's your friend.
My friend. I know. It's so weird because like my friend Celine, like I've never referred to her as like my inferior, my assistant. Because technically I used to be her boss, you know, or coworker at least. I've never referred to her as that ever.
For your own edification, I feel like instead of inferior, you could probably say you're subordinate.
Oh yeah, my subordinate. Well, because I don't
looking
even know.
out for you, Celine. Not looking out.
Well, no, because I wouldn't even know what to say in that situation. Like I'm just like, it's my Celine, you know. Like I would never consider her like a person who worked for me or like that I worked with. Like I'm like, it's just a friend.
Well, I feel like that dynamic's a little bit easier than the opposite, you know.
That's true. Oh yeah, you're right. Well, but then I don't think Celine's ever called me her supervisor, you know, like unless it's like for a resume. But I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so I went golfing with my friend Duke. And I did really well that day. It was like fun, a good time, whatever. And then we went golfing again on Monday. So like the observed 4th of July or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was a total train wreck. Like it was so bad. One, there was like so many people. So like it took us a whole hour to do like 2 holes, I think, not even, maybe 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, and then on top of that, because like there was like people in front of us we had to wait for, and then like it was our turn, and then there's people literally waiting there for us to go next, and so it was so much pressure. Like I just feel like I did so bad. Like I did the worst I've ever done. Mm-hmm. It was not a fun experience. So that happened. Oh, and then last week, okay, so I went over to Duke's house to watch The Bachelorette. Uh-huh. And let me tell you, first of all, it's stupid.
Well, you don't need to tell me that. I would just believe that.
Okay, well, it's like more than like me just sitting here and not having ever seen it, like saying like, oh, it's probably stupid. Like watching it, like I'm like, it's stupid. Like it is so obviously scripted. Like they definitely always create like a villain in every episode. And then on top of that, the episodes that I watched, so like the current, I think her name is Laura, like the Bachelorette currently. And in the episode that I watched, which I think was episode 4, they like bring back, so the Bachelorette from the prior season is there with her as like a guide. I don't know. It's weird. And so her, when she was in the season with like her little bachelors, there was a bachelor that she didn't choose that supposedly reached out to her because he was like, oh my God, I think Laura is my soulmate. And then she goes to like the Bachelorette and she's just like, okay, so I don't want to put pressure on you, but like there's a guy who I think is great and he really feels like you're his soulmate and it's your decision if you want to give him a rose or not. And they show the guy, and Alex, holy God, this guy, okay, I literally screamed and was like, replay it when I watched it, because I was like, is that JT, like my ex? Like, no. I'm not kidding you. It is uncanny. And even everyone that was there was just like, oh yeah, that looks like him. Like
that was the trippiest moment ever, especially since like he's married.
I know. I was like, replay. It obviously, like once, you know, I looked at him closer, like it's not exactly him, but I'm like, holy God, like that would be his older brother.
You'll
like,
have to show me.
I need to show you, because like, if anything, like that was the most entertaining thing about the whole night. But then I'm just like, even if I wanted to continue watching this show with you guys, which I don't necessarily, I'm there for the rah-rah, like it was fun watching with them because I was with them. But like, I cannot watch it if that guy's gonna be in the show. Which he got a rose, so I gotta wait for some episodes until he gets kicked off.
Of course he got a rose, or else there would have been no point in mentioning him at all.
It's so stupid, Alex. Like, I can't even begin to express to you. But I do have to say that I feel like through watching it, I do have like my preferences. So if anyone who's listening watches The Bachelorette, the current season of The Bachelorette, Aaron, which is hilarious because that's my husband's name, is my favorite.
No bias.
No bias. No, but I think you would actually like him too, because him, and then there's this guy who like literally the entire, like, he's exactly me in a male's body, because anytime anything happens, he's like, and like, if anyone's watching on YouTube, I'm making like very exaggerated like facial expressions. Like literally the camera like zooms in on him anytime anything happens, because he's like,
he does the Jim Halpert like reaction things like from The Office.
Yes, but not as like blasé. Like his expressions are very like obvious.
Okay.
So he's also funny. But like, so that was my experience with The Bachelorette. I might watch it if that one guy gets kicked out, because I just can't. Like, it's so awkward looking at him and being like, oh God, it looks like my ex, and it's just the weird feelings, and ugh. It's the same reason that I can't watch Wonder Woman, the first one, because I feel like in that movie specifically, Chris Pine looks like him, and I'm just like, it's all weird for me. It's all weird. Anyway, so that was my week. It was very Duke filled. Other than that, not much to report really. So should we move into the podcast at hand, Alex?
Let's do this.
Okay, so like we said, we're gonna do a recap of 2021 thus far. And so Alex, before we get into it, remind us, where did you leave off your 2020 year?
So leaving off 2020, I think, was a lot of just kind of being a shut-in. Like, I was seeing you, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you were the only one I was really seeing, right? Besides like family, right? Which is great. Like, I really needed to get out of the house and like see a friend, so like that was awesome. However, like, it was just plugging along at home really, and just not really doing much of anything, like working from home, being in like, the same little pattern. That was super kind of meh. Didn't like it, because I prefer to be just out and doing things. So it's kind of like, that wasn't so great. But yeah, so where did you leave things off in 2020? Yeah,
I definitely feel like ending 2020 was a really weird feeling of like quasi depression for me, and it was like really centered around social anxiety. So like at the end of 2020, obviously we had like holidays, like we had Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and I just feel like, and we tried to have like social gatherings, because like we were trying to be a little bit normal, obviously with people that we knew and we were comfortable with, but like I had so much anxiety over being with people. Yeah. And I remember specifically like when I was gonna throw like Halloween for like, like your quasi like birthday thing, I remember the week leading up to it, like I was like sick, like physically sick from like the anxiety of having people over. And it was just such a wild experience for me, because like I like hosting, like I like having people over, and it was just like I was just so petrified with fear about like, bringing germs into my household and like to my family. So it was like a really, like, I would say downer way to end the year last year.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, okay, going into 2021 then, what were the not so great times for you?
We want to start here with the not so great times, just because we want to get, the vegetables out of the way here and then end with the dessert,
I love vegetables, but okay, I get the point.
You don't like
I get the metaphor, go on.
All right. So the not so great stuff. So I think that like, especially in the beginning of 2021, like I really got hit hard with, not great things, because right in the beginning of the year, and a week or so apart from each other, both of my paternal grandparents passed away.
Right. Which, ugh.
Yeah, and that was like particularly hard for my family, just because like, we were all very close to them. Yeah. And like, especially like for myself and my brothers, like my grandparents had a really big role in how we grew up and how we were raised, and they were always around for, all of our events. And it was a really, because it wasn't great regardless, like when they both started showing signs of dementia. And like, so that was already hard, right? So
Yeah.
like having to put them, you know, in an assisted living home, and then having that even get worse because of like all their memory stuff. So they had to be put in a memory unit. So it was really hard to see them.
Yeah.
And it was also hard not seeing them in the sense of like feeling like you were avoiding them.
Yeah.
Because it was too hard to see them, but at the same time, that doesn't feel right either. And then them, you know, eventually passing away.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was very bittersweet in the sense of like, because, you know, as I've said many times in this podcast, I'm a Christian, right?
Right.
So for me, there was a lot of comfort in the fact of knowing that like they were with God now and they were whole again. Like that was of immense comfort and relief to me.
Yeah.
To know that finally they were whole, and that I'd like to think that, you know, at this point now that they would know like how we felt about them, like how like it's been since they were last, you know, with it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. So there's that, obviously, like missing them so much. And then the funeral was so hard. Especially since like there was a viewing and I just could not bring myself to go look. I could not do it. Like I don't know if my older brother did. I know my twin brother did. And it was kind of like, I cannot have that be the last thing that I remember of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because to me, it was kind of like, especially with my beliefs about like, you know, life after death and stuff, and it's kind of like that, their bodies are not them anymore, not to me.
Yeah.
There's not any closure or value for me to be taken from it. I know that that helps for a lot of other people. It just wouldn't help for me. But, you know, there was a certain amount of, I guess, maybe guilt and whether or not I should have done that. I mean, at this point, since I've had some time to really process it, I feel good about, you know,
the decision,
my decisions as far as that goes.
Right.
I think it was really great, you know, at their actual service when like people got to speak, which really it was mostly just our family speaking, like the extended family as well. Like hearing how just we were unified in the sense of like they were the best people that we knew.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like obviously your family doesn't agree upon everything. And I think that, you know, my family even is like, we're different in a lot of different ways. But we all agreed that they were two of the best people.
Right.
And that they meant so much to all of us. So that was really nice. And, you know, it was the relief, I guess, of finally that long journey of their dementia and stuff being over.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crummy to say, but at the same time, like, it was a relief for that to be over. Yeah, so just, like, you know, getting through that and stuff, which, you know, it's been hard around, like, Mother's Day and Father's Day and stuff, because obviously, like, that's who, you know, all the mothers and fathers in my family, like, idealized, right?
Yeah.
Like, they were the ones that you try to be like. So there's that, and then the other, like, kind of big bummer of my 2021, which is actually more so coming to fruition now, is that my cat's old and he's declining, you know? So he's 17 years old and he just recently started, you know, basically becoming incontinent. So like he's just peeing everywhere outside the litter box. And it got to the point where, you know, we just can't have him peeing outside the house or all around the house because he's an indoor cat. So we had to kind of section him off with gates in this little part of the house, which is difficult to do. Like, it doesn't give me any joy to do that.
Yeah, obviously.
Because, like, I love this cat. Like, he's been mine, you know, for a long time, for 17 years.
Yeah, I know.
And, you know, been, like, a constant, like, companion and comfort to me and stuff, and then to like put him in that pen is like really heartbreaking, but at the same time, you know, he's lived a long life, you know, pretty long for a cat.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's something to be said, like I know, you know, he's been having health issues recently, but like there's something to be said with like how old he is, you know, like it shows that like he was a well taken care of cat.
Right. So that's a bummer, I guess. But the good part about that is that like he's been doing very well in the pen area. Actually,
that's good.
Like he hasn't been super upset about it. He hasn't been meowing all day. Like he'll meow when he like sees us walking by or whatever, because like he'll want some pets or something. But like he's good for the most part.
That's really good. I'm glad to hear that.
And then we finally were able to get him shaved by the vet, because like the thing is with like cats that old, their skin is very
fragile,
yeah. So most like, and at this point, like I'm not going to take them to like a groomer like at a regular shop or whatever, because that's probably a lot of stress on him. And then mobile groomers don't want that kind of responsibility of an elderly cat, because it's easy to cut them up and whatever. And then also the groomer that's stationed out of the veterinary office that I go to like have him do his checkups and stuff. She is like, right before I was like inquiring about it, she actually like has a wrist injury, and now she's permanently out of the game. She's never coming back.
Good. Oh, Jesus.
So like the last time I was there, because like I had right around the time I put the cat in the pen area, like I scheduled one last appointment with the vet to kind of see what was going on and whatever. Like, is there anything else that I need to do, in this scenario, which there wasn't. And the room nurse is just, and I asked the room nurse about the like shaving thing, because the cat was so matted because he has stopped taking care of himself. She's like, well, I'll look into it and like get back to you. And she had ended up calling me and just kind of like, well, since the groomer's not coming back, like I asked around, and like one of the technicians can do it. Like when the head technician can do it, he's really experienced. Like he'll do a good job and blah blah blah. So I got the cat shaved.
That's good.
And he looks so good now.
That's good. Good for him.
He looks like a skeleton because he's so skinny now, which is not great, but he looks like he's comfortable.
Right.
Because he doesn't have all these mats anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So not so great, but I think both my things, like it's ended up being good in their own way.
But, well, I mean, that's positive. There's silver lining and everything.
Yeah. I like to look at it that way, at least.
Yeah,
totally. It's better than just being super depressed about it.
Agreed.
Anyway, so what about you?
Okay, well, I guess, this is also objective, because I don't think I've had that difficult of a year necessarily this year, aside from the obvious pandemic.
Right.
But two of the things, like there's really two things that I can say like definitively have been a struggle for me. One of them has been having to leave my job.
Right, yeah.
Because as I've said earlier, I'm student teaching in the fall, so I can't keep my job, and I love my job. And then like, I just love the dynamic of my job, like working with my former boss, Duke, who we're obviously like, we're friends now. And so like, not necessarily ever, but like for the foreseeable now, being able to work with him again, that's like really sad to me. Like I really enjoyed that time, and I enjoyed the kids, and I don't know, I guess I'm moving on to bigger and better things, but it was definitely stressful to do that.
Yeah.
And then also the stress of Aaron, my husband, not having a job currently. So I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but basically he was a coach at this college that I'm going to and work at. And he was a coach for the men's and women's tennis team. And when COVID happened, they like put him on leave because they're just like, we don't have sports. We don't want to have these like excess expenditures, So they kept on telling him like, we'll reopen it. So literally he's been waiting like since the pandemic started. And they finally told him like, okay, so it's either going to be open the 15th of this month or the 1st of next month. And so it just feels like, I feel like I won't believe it until it actually happens, because they kept on telling us like, it's going to be then, and they keep on pushing it back and back and back. And obviously now it's like more realistic because, like we're moving more into like an open state, and like more things are opening. So it does seem like a better chance that it will happen. But at the same time, I'm just so scarred from having Aaron just not have his job that like, I'm just like, I'll believe it when I see it. Like literally,
right, yeah.
I don't know. So like, I guess those two were like the biggest downers of this year for me. But they're going to get better. Like obviously like my unemployment status is temporary, and his as well is temporary. So it'll be fine. It's just right now it's like, ugh, this is the worst.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so like those are the not so great times. What are some of the happy things that happened to you this year?
So I think the good thing about this year is like getting back to, and I hate like this phrase, like getting back to normal, like that kind of annoys me a little bit, but you know, like for the real, like on the road, getting back to normal a little bit, right?
Sure.
So like slowly over the past, 6 months, things have been starting to open up a little bit more. Like you're able to, at the beginning, like, oh, you can like dine in places and whatever, and like all this whatever. And now, more or less the state of California is open. So that's cool. To just like have more freedoms, and then just being like kind of busy again,
Yeah.
Like for the past couple of weeks, I feel like most days out of the week I'm doing something after work, and that's really nice. I mean, it's tiring for sure, because like it's a lot to catch up on, especially since like, after over a year of like being not used to doing anything, all of a sudden like doing all these things and doing super social things, like it's, it wears on you a little bit, but
right.
I'm really happy getting to do those things, so that's cool. And then seeing more and more of my friends as compared to where I was at a year ago, because like, yeah, I was seeing you and that's great, I love seeing you, but also like I get to see like my sorority sisters a little bit more, just because things are more open. I think people are feeling more comfortable, and there's just more things to do,
Right. Yeah, totally.
So like getting to do that's been like really fun. Like I had just I didn't mention that in my week update that I had dinner with Nicole and Lexi, and that was great. It was a good time. We saw a movie. It was cool. We had good times.
Yeah, that's fun.
So like getting to see more people in that sense, and like feeling like things are more normal is nice. Obviously getting promoted was a huge thing for me. Like I had been working on this promotion since really like mid to late December. I've been like working towards this. So to finally like have gotten told like at the end of May, basically like, yeah, like, this is gonna happen for you, it was really cool. And it makes me feel good about the work that I put in so far. So it's really validating and stuff. And then I guess the most unexpected part of like the most unexpected good thing about my year has been actually like getting into a relationship, which has been really cool, especially since like it was so much stress of like how to do this whole dating thing in quarantine,
Yeah, totally.
Like it just so happens like around the time that I was like really looking into it, like, so it was actually really funny because at your birthday celebration is when I first started talking to Michael.
Okay.
And like I was just recently like half vaccinated at the time he was full vaccinated, so that was like kind of cool because like I had been talking to some guys before then, but then it was also just like doing like video dates with them.
Like awkward, like you don't actually get the full feel.
No, it was like, because my whole thing is I don't feel like I enjoy, or in the past have enjoyed dating very much.
Sure.
Just because I feel like there's so much awkward, and then there's so much like having to like impress someone,
sure,
which I'm not really into doing. Like either you like me from who I am or that's that.
Yeah.
And just really being put off by a lot of guys like at the get-go. Like usually around the first day I'm just like, well, no, just move it along.
Yeah.
But like, taking the chance to like meet up with him in like person, whatever. And it's just been the best ever since. Like instantaneously, like going on that first date with him, just kind of like, wow, I actually really like this person, which is new for me when going on a first date.
Right.
Usually I have to make a ton of excuses, be like, okay, I'll just give them another shot.
Okay.
And it wasn't like this at all.
Well, that's so good. Along. That's like so cute and so indicative of like why you're in a relationship now. You know?
So like, it's been a little over 2 months now, just like a hair over 2 months now, but it's been really good. It's really fun, and I've been just like really happy.
That's good. I'm glad.
Not that I was unhappy before, because I feel like that's incorrect to say, but it's just a different kind of happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just in a really good mood all the time now.
That's good. Like that's how it should be. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, it's been really good, and he's so funny. I was hanging out with him earlier today, actually, and we were just like, it just is fun to like go anywhere with him and just goof around.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
We're going to Target, and he was just making me laugh the entire time.
Aww.
Which is really important to me because I feel like I can be too serious sometimes.
Well, it's so good to hear this. Like, I'm happy that it's working out.
And I was telling Drea today that I'm just kind of like, I really just need to get on top of scheduling, him and you to meet. Because at this point, it's gotten ridiculous to me that you haven't.
It's been a while, yeah.
And I'm sure that I appreciate your patience, by the way, because I'm sure that you must be dying a little bit, just like a tiny bit.
I told you from the beginning, I was like, so when do I get to meet him? And it was like from the beginning that you were like, oh, like, we're going to wait, da, 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 da. So I've been eagerly anticipating this. And patiently, I might add. And so now that you've said like, okay, we need to pencil something in, I'm just like, let's do it.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun. And it's really funny because like he's such an avid listener to this podcast.
Shout out to you.
I know, right? Yes. He knew that I was going to record today because like, I just like come from hanging out with him. He's like, oh, somebody going to talk about on the podcast. And I told him, he's like, oh, so good things that happened to you this year. Hint, hint.
What a goober.
Well, you didn't say the hint, hint. I'm just, embellishing a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, like he's such an avid listener to this podcast that like he'll talk about like how he agrees with you on things like
what is like an example of
the
something
Jimmy John's thing.
Oh my
God.
So
mad at Jimmy John's dude.
Good. Okay. That's point for him right now.
He was like texting me this whole long thing about Jimmy John's. I'm just kind of like, I don't like I'm really for Firehouse, so
that's hilarious.
But yeah.
That's hilarious.
So
I love it.
To hear like because he'll bring it up on his own. It's not like I'm talking about the podcast or whatever, or like even like really necessarily talking about you. So he'll bring up like, oh, Drea said this on the podcast, blah blah blah. And it's kind of like it's like almost talking as if like it's someone you know and someone you're friends with.
Yeah. Well, that's what podcasts kind of are. Like I hear a lot of people being like, oh, I tune into such and such podcast because I feel like I'm just hanging out with my friends,
Yeah.
So like that's really cute that he said that. It's just like we're hanging out with you guys too.
Yeah, so he's great. Having a good time.
Love it.
Yeah. So happy things for you. Let's hear it.
Well, okay. Definitely the first and foremost happiest thing that happened to me this year was getting vaccinated. And I remember reading an article close to like when I was getting my vaccination that it was like they were talking about the workers who are at testing sites versus vaccination sites and how sometimes like people were at testing sites and then they got moved to like vaccination sites, like nurses and people, whatever. And they were saying how like it's just such a different climate, like atmosphere, because like everyone at testing sites is like so anxious and like not sure like if they have COVID and like this. And then at vaccination sites is more of this like relief energy of like hopefulness and just like, like willingness to move on. And it's just like it's just I don't know, I just feel like the article is like so true in so many ways, because I feel like because I was tested a few times because I had a few close calls and close scares whatever during last year, and I feel like every single time like I had so much anxiety and so much like pressure on me, I guess. And then getting vaccinated, I was just like, wow, even if I did contract it at this point, like the chances of like me dying or like, like me like seriously harming others around me are like lowered. And I just feel like, I don't know, it just gave me so much relief and so much like happiness. So that definitely was like the first and foremost like big thing for me personally this year. Obviously for a lot of other people, but I don't know, like, it just depends on like how you view it. For me, it was like a big happiness. And then like slowly but surely like releasing my anxieties about living in general.
Well, I'm sure that it ties in the whole like getting vaccinated thing because you feel safe to live again, or like, at least like you specifically feel safe to live again. Yeah,
exactly. So like obviously we have transitioned to like doing more like friend hangouts and like indoors, and just like wow, this time last year I'd be like, hell no, you guys aren't coming inside my house, like it just it's being able to actually do things on a normal like playing field, I feel like has been a big thing for me. And I feel like during this year, like I've really been using like the CDC guidelines as like my way of like mentally easing myself into everything, because like it's hard to like, flip the switch of like, okay, I'm like full on mask all the time, gloves, hand sanitizer, to, like, okay, CDC is saying like it's safe to be indoors with people who are vaccinated and So like I was trying to use their guidelines as like a means to ease myself back into living normally, quote unquote. And then I know you mentioned like seeing friends like that you didn't necessarily see before. And I feel like it's a little bit almost like the reverse for me. Because I feel like the pandemic, if anything, showed me like which friendships are worth putting energy into.
Sure.
Because I feel like and you know this, like I'm the type of person who I have like a ton of different friends.
You do.
And so it's kind of exhausting to keep up with everyone. And I feel like I've always like, I don't know, just like put in all the effort to like see people, connect with people. And I feel like the pandemic has shown me like the people who are worth putting in that effort into.
Sure.
So I definitely still have like a rather large group of friends that like I see or like try to see. Some of them don't live like super close, but you know, like whenever I can, I make the effort to see them, or they even like reach out to me like, hey, like I'm coming into town this time, da da da. And I feel like I just appreciate my friends that I have more now. And not necessarily that I'm not friends with some of the ones that I don't necessarily see anymore, but like I've kind of just released this sense of like I need to make this friendship work, otherwise they won't. Like I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It does.
Yeah, so like I feel like it's happy to see like which it's kind of like brutal to say this, but like which friendships matter. I don't know, like it's kind of mean.
Because I think, you know, not all friendships are permanent, and I don't think it's necessary that they actually stay permanent, you know?
Yeah.
Like you go through different seasons of your life, and it's not necessarily that you have to have a falling out or whatever, but you know, things just move and transition differently. So like it moves from friendships to more like acquaintances and whatever. And like you could still be friendly with them.
Yeah.
And you know, all that stuff. But you know, you grow and things change and your friend groups change, and that's not a bad thing, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. So ultimately it's not like I'm not friends with anyone anymore, but it's like kind of what you're saying, like, you know, we've just kind of like I've grown apart and grown closer to other people. Yeah. And so it's been really nice. A big huge happiness for me this year that I'm so thankful for is my mom's improvement in her health.
Yeah.
So all last year that was definitely like a point of stress for me. It was just like if it wasn't one thing, it was another. And since this year has started, my mom has just been improving astronomically with her health issues, and I am just so over the moon about it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Best thing that's happened this year. And then lastly, I'm so freaking close to being done with my stupid master's program. And I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm like inching my way towards it. And I'm just, oh God, I cannot be done sooner.
I know, man. I'm pumped. We're going to celebrate once it's all over.
Oh my God. Seriously. Okay. So we went through the not so great things, went through the great things. Let's just talk about what we're looking forward to in the coming other half of the year or onward.
So next week is going to be pretty fun for me. I'm going to take a long weekend and go to Oregon to see one of my friends from high school, which I mentioned before, but like it's, you know, becoming more of a real thing. And that's like the biggest like trip that I've gone on since Mexico.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Since 2019. So like this is going to be like really cool to like just get out of the state, you know, see something else, hang out with a friend who I haven't seen in forever.
Yeah.
And it'll just be good. I'm excited to see where my new job takes me, and as like all that stuff goes. Like I have a conference coming up in September that I have like the option of like going in person to.
Ooh,
like
where's it at?
Seattle.
Oh my God, you should go, and then I should go with you.
Hey, you know, I'm like,
We'll talk.
But yeah, you know, I've never been to Seattle before, and like that would be something really cool to do. Like, you know, feeling really professional, feeling like things are happening, and that's really cool. So like all the new job stuff I'm really excited about.
It's awesome.
And then, you know, obviously I've talked about my nephew so many times, but my nephew, right? So like he's turning 1 in a couple weeks here, which is crazy that he's gonna be 1 year old. I can't deal. And like there's so much to look forward to as far as like, you know, his like advancing and like all that stuff. Like he's so close to walking, man.
Yeah,
like, he's
totally.
so close to walking, and he's been like vocalizing a lot and like all this stuff. So like I'm sure he's gonna be talking pretty soon too, like saying like words and stuff. And like that's gonna be so crazy.
It's gonna be wild
to hear his little boy voice, you know, ask you a question or like whatever, and just kind of like, this is so cool, because like I feel like more so lately he's come to the point where like he recognizes us more. Like when he comes over, he's like, oh, you're a person that I know and a person that cares about me and not someone scary.
Right.
So like seeing all that stuff is gonna be like really cool, and I'm also excited, you know, just spend more time with my boyfriend, you know. It's all good stuff to see like where things, you know, how make plans, right?
Yeah.
You know, just talking about like different things. Like he just mentioned yesterday, like, oh, I want to take you like to such and such place this winter and whatever. It's kind of like
such and such place. What's such and such place?
Relax. It's nothing. I don't remember what like city it was called, but it's in the state of California, so you can relax.
Winter. I'm like trying to think like what's magical in the winter. Like, is it a mountain city?
Well,
is it...
so like and I think that you'd get along with him in this way. Not that I think you guys would not get along, because I think that you're gonna get along great. He really loves the holidays.
Oh my god. Okay, 2 points for Michael. Oh, sorry. Can I not say his name?
No, I've been saying his name.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so he loves the holidays, and he loves like going to places that are like done up for the holidays. So like, you know, he's excited for like when Disneyland like starts doing like their Christmas stuff.
Love.
And he just wants to go anywhere that like has like really cool Christmas decorations put up. So it was somewhere that like has Christmas decorations.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well I'll be there also.
You heard it here first, Michael. Sorry about it.
Sorry, I'll be like, you know, I'll be like 10 feet behind, but I'll be there also.
But yeah, so you know, just looking forward to the future, because the future feels really bright.
Okay.
It feels good.
Bright and jolly.
Sure. And he likes to give me a hard time about the fact that I like Thanksgiving so much. Listen,
I mean, it's okay.
Andrea.
I like Thanksgiving. It was up there in my holidays. It's just not my favorite.
Thanksgiving is great, and not enough people give it its due. But anyway, I digress. I've talked about this enough with both of you.
Okay.
Anyway, what are the things that you're looking forward to?
Okay, well, I'm actually looking forward to Disneyland. I'm going next week with Duke and some of our or some of his rather. Well, one of them. Okay, I'm sorry, this is not important, but like people we know.
Yes, you're going to people you know. Yes.
Yeah, and so I'm very excited. Well, we're not actually going to Disneyland. We're going to California Adventures. But I'm so excited. Like, I'm ready to be there. And then I also just checked the forecast, and it's supposed to be 84, which I am like, that is tolerable. That is doable. So I'm into that. I'm ready for it. Excited to be done with the teaching program. And then I'm excited to buy our next house. Me and Erin are planning to buy a new house soon, not super soon, but like soon, within the next maybe year and a half. And so that is literally the only thing that's propelling me through my days. And then lastly, the thing that I'm looking forward to, and it's hilarious that you just said this about Michael, but I am looking forward to the holidays. Like, I am just so ready for a year that is a little bit more normal, where we can be together, maybe give a few hugs, you know, like high fives, you know, whatever. And then Alex, you know that like Christmas last year was litty with the presents. Yeah. So I'm ready to see like what monstrosity is brought this year.
Every single time, and I know that it's been a couple years now that I've done this with you, like gone to like your like Christmas celebration, but it's kind of like, it'll take like 12 hours to pass out the amount of presents that like you and your sister and her friends like all pass out. Like, I don't even comprehend it.
I think I'm gonna do it differently this year. I think I'm gonna make stations with all the guests' names.
You know what? This is a good idea.
You know, so that when people come, they just put their own gifts for whoever it's for, and then that way, like, it's easy, and I'm just like, go, 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 you know. So maybe that will facilitate the process. But
we'll have to write a note somewhere to remember this.
To remember to do that.
Literally, that's like most of the battle right there.
Yeah, like it takes a good minimum 2 hours to go through gifts at my house. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm excited for it. But
we'll ring in the new year with some molly bowling, man.
Oh my God, seriously, I missed it last year, and I'm determined to have some this year.
It'll be good.
All right. Well, guys, that is our recap of the 2021 year thus far. And next week, well, if it's next week, if not the next week, I don't know, we haven't really talked about it, but we're starting our new season. So be excited.
Soon. Maybe take a little break.
We might take a week break. If not, we'll see you next week. If not, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. See you later.
Bye.